Welcome to the GigaCast. My name is Gav Blacksburg, and I'm joined by Sawyer Merritt, Farzad Misbahi, and Omar Quasi. And today, on our very first episode of this show, we are going to talk about Tesla earnings and what an earnings it was. If you're unfamiliar, the GigaCast is a brand new show produced by Wolf Financial and spoken on by the top Tesla minds and tech minds, to be honest, in the world, with participation from them. Whether you're watching on our channel, one of their channels, we're so excited to have you tuning in here today. And we're going to get right into the action because there is so much to talk about. And this Tesla earnings call gave us a lot of quotes. And one of our favorite quotes was this one: "This is not some mythical thing. We will be live in the next 5 months." Of course, talking about FSD, the revolutionary technology that we all look at when it comes to Tesla's share price and the future, to be honest, of driving and so much more in the world. Let's dive right into it with some high-level thoughts. Farzad, let me turn it over to you first.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being on for the first time, a super well-produced show on the channel. Thank you very much. I feel so professional. I feel like I should be wearing a suit right now. But yeah, I'm really excited. For the guys out there, Sawyer and Omar have been on the channel before. I'm super excited to talk about Tesla and tech, and of course Gav here as our host with the Wolf team. I'm just super psyched to get this rolling. Yeah, I think the June date is a very interesting one because it was something that, if you're a fan of Tesla, you've been following the story for a long time. You've been like, okay, when is this going to happen? When are we going to get the date? When are we going to get the thing that's actually going to tell us Tesla's serious about unveiling robotaxi, getting a self-driving product on the road? We know that Elon's missed timelines on this over and over again. But having an exact date on the call, plus all the different developments that have happened with FSD V13, all the rave reviews we're getting from people like Omar he seems like he puts out 7 videos a day of his drives, of zero interventions, right? You have this formula that's starting to come together that Tesla's going to be able to unleash a self-driving platform to the world starting in Austin this year, which, if you sort of fast forward into the future, should be the one that has the lowest cost per mile, should be the one that has the largest scale because of their generalized solution. And then it's sort of like the underlying technology that's going to give birth to their bot project over time, because they use the same inference computer, but they need a lot more training compute, so on and so forth, right? So it's kind of like, it's like you are on a cliff and you've been trying to, work your way all the way up the mountain to the cliff. And then all you have to do is just push the rock a little bit, and then all of a sudden you have, like, I guess that's the wrong analogy because we want to go up, not down. Just flip it. Imagine you're in Australia, okay? And then you push the ball off the cliff. But anyway, it's a very exciting time. I think for anyone who's following the story closely, this is probably one of those times where it feels different than before. The vibe that I get, it's like very similar to 2019 for those of us that have been following the story for a long time. I just get 2019 vibes. This was right before Model Y started going into a ramp. Model 3 was becoming consistently profitable. And of course, I don't want to make any predictions about the stock price specifically, but the ramp of the company feels like it's in the same place. It's about to go ballistic. So, yeah, I'm super excited. Super excited.
I love it. And I completely agree with the passion there. And it's an inflection point for sure, just like 2019 was. And those are what you build up to, right, as a company. They don't happen every day. They don't happen every year. But every 5 years, potentially, you're seeing massive growth. Sawyer, what stood out to you when Elon was talking about FSD on this call? And he seemed to be talking about it with more passion than he ever has before. Oh, Sawyer, we got to have you unmute.
Sawyer's muted. Uh-oh.
Sorry, I forgot to unmute.
Yes.
We're rookies,
First
guys. I think we got to remember that this is still an Elon timeline. Like, as much as I'm super excited, I think it will come. Elon was sort of hinting, like, he talked with the team. They all came up with this timeline together. So to me, that makes me feel a little bit more confident in it. But nonetheless, like, the FSD progress has been really good ever since March of last year when FSD version 12 came out. And then, of course, Hardware 4 vehicles have FSD version 13 now. And a shock on X, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, he hinted at some really big updates coming in FSD version 13.4, and then they teased version V14, I think, on the earnings call. But in the Q3 earnings call, Elon hinted that we would get full robotaxis going in the first half of this year. We didn't have an exact date, so now that we have an exact month, I think that's bullish. And I think that the overall earnings quality of the actual earnings report wasn't really the best. We're sort of like we're in such different Tesla environment in that we used to be 2-3 years ago. This Q4 earnings print probably would have resulted in the stock being down, I don't know, like 5-10%, but the stock was up 3%. And I asked Kathy Wood the other day on our spaces whether she felt like Wall Street was sort of waking up to the opportunity that is FSD that we've all been banging the table on. And she feels like, especially auto analysts, they've really waken up. And I feel like there's just in general been an overall narrative shift, not only in on Wall Street, just across the board, and that people are focusing less on vehicle deliveries than they ever used to. And I think that's a good thing, because I think ultimately the what's going to unlock future value for this company is not having, let's say 16% gross margin or 17, worrying about that. It's like, can they hit robotaxi deadlines, and can they reach the potential that they set forth for themselves? So I don't think I've ever heard Elon be more bullish on an earnings call, and I've been listening to them for 10 years now. And yeah, I think it's going to be great few years coming up.
Definitely a lot of bullish sentiment. Omar, one of the things I love about this group that we have here is there's a lot of love for Tesla and Elon, but there's also pushback when there's things that you guys think could be done better. For example, Farzad, commenting when Elon's tweeting during the earnings call, hey, bro, get back on the earnings call. We're live right now. What do you think about this timeline? Tesla, Elon always says, this is when it's going to come out. This is when it's going to come out. And sometimes it comes out on time. Sometimes it doesn't. What do you think about this timeline?
Well, look, I mean, the launch of an unsupervised service for FSD, we got a time, we got a place. It's huge. Are they going to make it exactly in June? Probably not. But are they going to be able to launch something by the end of the year? I think if you've tried FSD 13, you can see that the likelihood is much higher than it's ever been before. And I mean, they could have announced, I think, that they sold 3 cars and Elon bought them. It doesn't really matter if the business is about to hit this inflection point with AI. So this is really a moment that the company's been building up for years. They're executing a really historic pivot, the kind you don't see very often, and the market is buying it. The days where investors are primarily concerned about automotive gross margin, I think, are over. I think they can see this is part of a product transition. They've got a new Model Y, but everybody's focus is really on unsupervised and Optimus. It's clear these are really going to be the future value of the company, and I think that's what investors walked away from on this call.
And
Definitely yeah, please.
No, I was going to say, like, so what happened, right? So because if you really think about this story has been the same forever. Like if you think back to the development of when Tesla got into their game of developing their own end-to-end neural net and trying to get self-driving, when they got rid of Mobileye and they started working towards their solution, this has been going on since what, 2016, 2017, something like that, you guys? It's been forever, right? So it's been something that's been in the works for 8 years. But then now the broader market or the broader population, it's still going to be a very small percentage of population, because most people don't even know that their cars can even do this, let alone like people that don't even have a Tesla. There's a lot of people that still don't understand what the core technology has done. But for some reason, like the points that Sawyer and Omar made are so great, is like any other quarter, this quarter makes the stock go down 20%. But for some reason in this one, it's like, oh yeah, no, but we see the path, and it has to be version 13. Like I can't think of anything else. And maybe perhaps you have VCs out there or guys that are in the market that are really studying the Optimus story very closely, like the disruption to labor and the fact that the technology to do a human or robot is there. You just have to train they're AI-powered robots. The cars are AI-powered robots. The human or robot is an AI-powered robot. All the pieces are there. They have to come together. I just think that shift in the market and the shift in the population, plus the Trump administration being sort of this tailwind for Musk industry to get stuff done as well. It seems like the coalescing of all these stories the fact that it's being recognized by the broader market to me is surprising, because I didn't expect that. I thought, okay, well, once it drops to the bottom line, and that's when people are going to wake up. But it seems like the waking up is happening before that. I don't know what that does for the stock price, but it's just the sentiment is clearly different.
Well, in terms of what changed from past quarters, I think what changed is that they did it. Anyone can go pick up these cars and try it, and
Yeah.
it's starting to work. Now, there's still a lot of things they haven't done. For example, responding to audio for sirens, some of the destination options. But people can see the light at the end of the tunnel here. They can see that most drives are now zero intervention. And what started with FSD 12 and continued with FSD 13 has emerged as a situation that I think informed people are looking at and saying this could actually leapfrog Waymo. It's already started to do it in driving comfort. I think in this coming year, what we're going to see is them actually leapfrog Waymo in miles per intervention as well.
Yeah, actually, to that point, I'd be curious your guys' thoughts on this. When Elon said that there would be nobody in the car starting this June for those unsupervised rides and that it would be a full service thing, I assumed that they would actually have Tesla employees in the car, sort of just in case, or maybe as a liability thing. And the fact that they're not, that's a pretty big leap to me. And that's a full service robotaxi essentially at that point. You are competing with Waymo head to head, and because they don't rely on a really expensive sensor suite, Tesla can probably offer their rides at a much, much lower cost, probably off the bat. We'll see. But to me, that's really bullish if they're just not even having to put employees in the driver's seats for those initial rides.
Yeah, and honestly, I'm confused by that point, because it's like, I'm pretty sure like Austin's regulation, like their city regulation, it's like a SETI thing that they have to put a safety driver in there. Like it's local legislation. So I don't know if that's like Elon speak is like, well, it doesn't need a driver. Like I think maybe that's what he's thinking, is like, it doesn't need somebody there. It's going to be so safe. But the city's going to be like, yeah, great, put somebody there just in case something happens, right? So it might be one of those things. Well,
if you remember the last earnings call, they actually said they've already started doing rideshare testing with employees in the driver's seat. So they're probably getting data from that's making them feel confident launching driverless. In terms of Austin's regulations, Texas is kind of a crazy state. They have no regulation, essentially. They just say, oh, you think you can go operate a driverless service? Go for it.
Freedom,
California has a little bit of a more extensive permitting process, but there is actually no regulatory holdup in Austin. If they feel like they're there on a technical level, they're going to launch. And that's part of the reason why this is starting to feel so real for investors.
And I think Elon wanted to double down. I even said before that he's projected out dates that haven't come true, and he almost called himself out for that in the call, right? Quote here, he said, "I know people say I'm the boy who cried wolf, but I'm telling you, there is a damn wolf. The wolf can drive autonomously." He is hammering the point home. I think he's really trying to double down on, I've said things before and they haven't happened in time. This one is going to happen in time. We're at that point. Things are going to get rolled out in a different light. And we do have to talk about the numbers because, of course, it was a double miss there. But it seems like it got outweighed by the tone and the bullishness within the call that happened. And quotes like this, frankly, that came out and buoyed investors' confidence and potentially institutions' confidence in what Tesla is doing. Farzad, you worked at Tesla, so you have a pretty unique perspective here. How have you seen Elon's tone change over time, and how have you seen that affect investors' confidence and, to be honest, performance within the company?
Yeah, I mean, I think, how many times have we sort of listened to a Tesla earnings call and we're like, okay, is this depressed Elon or is this hyped up Elon that's going to show up, right? Like you're riding a roller coaster anytime you listen to a Tesla earnings call. He has had bullish moments. He has had down moments. I do think he seems like the kind of person that really wears, like, you can tell what's going on in his life or like what's happening just by listening to him. But I think that the big takeaway I get from him as of late, it's like he has been the most positive I've probably ever seen him. that I can remember. At least I shouldn't say that I can remember. And I think it's a lot of factors. It's, you know, his president choice winning, what that's going to do for regulation, what that's going to do for his businesses, the removal of blockades he's had to deal with the previous administration.
He has more
Sort of
influence now than ever.
Exactly, right? So a lot of these things are going to help him feel really good about himself and feel really good about the future of his company. And we can debate, okay, like, should that be happening or not? I think that's, you know, that's a separate conversation, which I think is a very interesting one. But yeah, I mean, having worked there, I mean, I do think, you know, if I remember to 2019 when I was at the company, this was after the Model 3 ramp really started kicking off, profitability started becoming a regular thing, the Model Y was down the pike, so on and so forth. Elon's positivity and Elon's vibe definitely impacts the internal, because the internal are going to be like, holy shit, okay, you know, when you hear about the company's vision, you don't hear from an email. Usually you hear from his tweets or his posts. Okay. Like that's in like his interviews. He sets the tone for the entire umbrella that he influences, either the companies that he's in, the media that covers him, right? Whatever it is, everybody that sort of that follows the story, everybody is on the same page, right? Now, the people internally, when they feel that kind of vibe, they're like, oh shit, okay, I'm working for something important. I'm working for something that's really going to matter. We're almost there. Let's go just push a little bit harder, right? And I feel like this time is going to have the same sort of effect on the company. I think it's going to push people to go a little bit faster, a little bit harder. It's going to make things like robotaxi everywhere by next year a little bit more likely. It's going to make a bot becoming a reality a little bit more likely, right? It's all in all, it's a very positive thing that's happening, and it's, as an investor, it makes me feel very, very, very bullish about the medium to long term, especially.
I mean, in terms of his mood,
please.
I think it's really just the guy's been working on this for 10 years. Everyone told him he was crazy. Everyone told him it was impossible. They said you couldn't drive a car with computer vision. And the team has done it. After all this time, the light is at the end of the tunnel. Regulatory hurdles seem to be clearing. He's got influence in the federal government. I mean, of course he's in a great mood. He's got to be feeling relieved. That doesn't necessarily mean that the battle's over and there aren't tough times ahead. But I mean, many people, I mean, almost everyone doubted whether this was whether this was even possible, and the team has demonstrated that it is.
I got a question for you then, Omar, because there's a lot of positiveness around the tonality and around some of these quotes. And there's more quotes that we're going to get to here, some of my favorite ones. But let's talk the numbers for a second. Do you have any concern from a double miss? What do you think was different from analyst expectations to reportings? Are there certain numbers that you think don't tell the full story?
You know, I think anyone who's concerned about the so-called miss does not understand this company at all. Now, obviously, in the fourth quarter, you saw heavy use of incentives to clear inventory, especially inventory of the Model Y, because they're launching a new product. So you can look at that and say, oh my God, the sky is falling. They had to sell these vehicles so cheaply. Automotive revenue was actually down a little bit, despite deliveries increasing sequentially. So you can look at that and say, oh my God, the sky's falling, this business is imploding. But the reality is there's a new Model Y now that's being sold at over $60,000 fully loaded. And people are ordering that so much that the white interior is now sold out. Um, the auto business is just a brutal business. People said Tesla would never be profitable in this business. They were profitable. They've been sustainably profitable at a time when everyone else is losing money. And some of the new products they're introducing this year, the new Model Y, new models, more affordable Cybertruck, these are going to be good for ASPs. They're going to be good for margins. But to really be focusing on the end of the old Model Y, 5-year-old design, and to be focusing on that when they're getting ready to launch unsupervised FSD, when we're just seeing AI breakthroughs across the industry, that are making people's heads spin, from, DeepSeek to XAI to Tesla. Um, Investors really should be focusing on future cash flows. And is what we saw here with the incentives on Model Y going to tell you what the future cash flows are? No, the future cash flows are really going to be dictated by long-term Optimus and medium-term FSD. So I think that's what most investors are correctly laser focused on. And bears who want to sort of extrapolate from this liquidation cycle of the old Model Y, I think they're going to be surprised by how the automotive business does in 25.
I
Sawyer,
think
anything you'd add to that?
investors, yeah. I think investors should probably just write off Q1 because obviously the new Model Y is launching. Like delivery numbers aren't going to be that great for that reason. Probably, honestly, like people should just kind of move on from all of this year. There's going to be a lot of new products launching, but it's going to take time to ramp up. And really, the more exciting prospects is 2026 with full-on robotaxis at the Cybercab, Optimus potentially getting going and delivering to companies in the back half of that year. So I don't agree with Elon that we'll see 20 to 30% vehicle volume delivery growth this year. I would be shocked if that happened. I'm thinking maybe more like 5 to 10% would be my guesstimate. That said, it seems like Tesla's really confident with this Model Y ramp. They're ramping it in all 4 factories on 3 continents all at the same time. That's something they've never done. I don't think no auto company has ever done this because it's the number one best-selling car in the world by quite a big margin, might I add. So logistically, it's quite difficult to do this, but it seems like they're confident in their ability to ramp it. And so we'll see how deliveries go. But in general, earnings will be great 2026, 27, and on. I don't expect a huge growth in earnings for 2025.
Yeah.
Good for investors to hear and to keep in mind, right? Have expectations set and understand that there's still a lot of opportunity. And let's talk for just a second, Farzad, about just how big this could potentially be. And this was a quote that really stood out to a lot of people during the earnings call, and that is, there is a path for Tesla to become bigger than the next 5 biggest companies combined. We are setting up to have an epic 2026 and ridiculous 2027/2028. That is a lot of market cap. Do you think this is him shooting from the hip in an earnings call, or do you think he was thinking this through and going, that company, yeah, I see it?
Yeah, I think so. It's funny because, if you followed Elon for a long time, this is par for the course. Like, and I love his self-awareness. Back to earth, Elon. Come back to earth, sort of thing on the call. Like when he was throwing all these crazy numbers out. So I actually posted a video about this on my channel yesterday, where if you take the next 5 biggest companies combined, about 15 trillion in current market cap. So it's Google, it's Alphabet, Amazon, Apple, Nvidia. I forget the 5th one. Meta, maybe. Anyway, doesn't matter. Not important. So 15 trillion. So he's saying that they're going to be at least $15 trillion in the future. So that requires entering markets that are pretty big, but have a lot of opportunity for profitability, right? And growth. That's the only way you can get there. What's very interesting about the 2 markets that Tesla's getting into with the framing that I think about Tesla today is they are the only profitable AI-powered robotics company. I think that is a proper framing for this company. They're not a car company. They're not a self-driving company. They're not a humanoid robot company. The way I view them is a profitable AI-powered robotics company. And that you think about, that's like, okay, what does that give birth to? It's a brand new TAM. Like we don't even know what the hell like the products are that will be born out of a manufacturing process that's going to create AI-powered robots in whatever form factor, right? If you just do the math and you look at, okay, how big is the TAM for transportation globally? In the United States, it's somewhere around 2 to 3 trillion, depending on what numbers you're looking at, just in the United States. If you put, actually might be even bigger than that. If you put that out globally, it's a multi-trillion-dollar TAM. And so if you take a slice of that, all of a sudden you end up with $500 billion in profitability, $800 billion of profitability every year. In transportation, you put a multiple on that, you could end up with 5-10 trillion, right? And then the bot is the physical labor market. The physical labor market is 40 trillion globally right now. And it's limited by how many humans exist. And humans are limited by how many humans we can make, you know? And so if you have a process where you can make as many human replacements, a whole different topic for discussion, or enhancers, right? All of a sudden, you can enter a 40, 50, 60 trillion dollar market in 10, 20, 30 years, maybe even bigger, right? And if you have the scale to crank out tens or hundreds of millions of these per year at the lowest cost of anybody, with your manufacturing expertise and the best end-to-end vision neural network approach that you have versus your competitors, if you just have the best AI capability and the best manufacturing capability, by default, you're going to take the lion's share of that market. And so if you're playing in a $40 trillion market and you take 20% of that market, okay, that's $8 trillion. And then you put a multiple on that. It's not that hard to get to that number, but it's all dependent on having a product that actually does that. This is not the market doesn't exist. This is will the technology solve it? And the enabler, the enabling technology is artificial intelligence, right? And which company is at the forefront of vision-based AI? Tesla. So if they solve that, they capture the market. You know, the numbers are crazy because nobody else has done it. But if somebody does it, the numbers, you know, the numbers write themselves. It comes down purely to executing on the technology. That's it.
I have one last piece in regards to FSD that I want to throw at Sawyer and Omar, and then we have to talk a little bit more about Optimus. One thing I do want to do before I do that is the super cool thing is we're live. So we actually have live comments coming in and amazing interaction. We've been drawing about 1,000 viewers a minute since we've been live. So thank you to the 27,500 that have tuned in so far. We really appreciate you being on here for our first
Bigger
show.
than CNN, let's go.
First of many to come. This is going to be every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. So mark your calendars by it. So far, my favorite comment that's come in is this one. Farzad is a better looking version of Sundar Pichai. We've also gotten Kash Patel references. So I love it. And, you know, we appreciate
bunch of racists in the comments.
No, I think they all mean well. So super cool to see everybody tuning in. All right, last piece I want to throw, and I'm going to throw this at yourself, Sawyer. Pretty interesting comment here. So Elon said, we are seeing significant interest from other auto companies for licensing our FSD technology. I think the reason for this is because most of them are realizing that without FSD, you are dead. Talk to me about that.
Yeah, I mean, so Elon has said this before. I think it was almost 2 years ago that Elon said they were in talks with one OEM about licensing FSD. So obviously the time has gone on, and since FSD 12 and FSD version 13 has come out, FSD is a lot better than it used to be. So I think naturally legacy auto manufacturers are probably realizing we don't have the software expertise to do this in-house. We don't have the GPUs or the cache float or the cache hoard that to be able to, and expertise to be able to build these huge AI supercomputer clusters. So I think it's more likely than not that they're going to have to license it from somewhere, and the most likely is obviously Tesla. Now, with this North American charging standard adoption that we saw from all these legacy auto manufacturers, it's taken roughly 2 years from announcement of adoption to actually implementing these things natively into the cars. I think with FSD, it would likely take longer. Probably 3 to 4 years would be my guess, because you have to, the engineers at both companies have to work together. You have to make sure it all works together seamlessly. And on top of that, Tesla doesn't want to waste their time with a low volume vehicle. So if they're going to partner with someone, they want to make sure that that whatever vehicle they partner with is worth their time, because they don't want to waste engineering resources, right? So I think we're still a little bit of ways away from getting an official signing from an OEM to coming on board for the FSD licensing, but it's probably coming sooner than most people think, but maybe a little bit longer than most people in the Tesla community think.
Very fair. Very fair. All right. I think we can roll into a little bit deeper on the Optimus side, and also shout out to some of our favorites, Amit out here, New Media. We're doing our best. Okay. Omar, first question over to you here when it comes to Optimus. This was obviously a captivating portion of the call. And there's a vision here that's being spread, and it's becoming easier and easier to see it. And they put out even a video of another robot today, right? The car cleaning robot for the robo-taxi is showing how it can suck up water bottles and clean the seats and do all these other items. And to me, it's so much more than that, right? If there's anything I hate in life, it's doing the dishes and cooking, right? Immediately, now you have something that can replace those items. It can walk your dogs. It can do so much more. There seems to be a massive opportunity here. And if I'm not incorrect, Elon said that their goal is by end of 2026 to be getting these out at a price point as low as $20,000, which just seems insane to me that that's even possible. Walk me through your thoughts as you're listening to this.
Yeah, so I mean, on the bigger than next five companies combined, um, I it's hard to really quantify a statement like that. Obviously, we don't know what the next five biggest companies are going to be. So I don't put too much credence in that statement. On the licensing, I agree with Sawyer that it's probably going to take 3 to 5 years once we have an announcement for them to start integrating it into their cars. Most automakers don't want to give up yet. So we're going to see those announcements start to come in, I think, after Tesla launches their unsupervised service. So once they do that, let's assume they can do it in December. I think within 12 months of that, you're going to start to see licensing deals coming in. But it'll take really 3 to 5 years for those first vehicles to get out. So, this is kind of a ways away, but you think about sort of the aggregate demand for self-driving. There's demand for, probably a billion self-driving cars around the world. In the United States, there's probably demand for at least 200 million self-driving cars or more. And Tesla has production capacity of 2 million. So I think they're going to grow that significantly, but licensing long term into the 2030s, I think will have to be a big part of the solution. And yeah, as for the cleaning robot, we'd seen a little bit about that on 1010. I think it's really interesting what they're doing here. They're really going a step beyond Waymo. Waymo, of course, the car is driven driverlessly, but people are monitoring it remotely. They're going in person to help. Of course, when it comes into the depot, it's being charged manually. It's being cleaned manually. They're really looking at a solution here that is human labor free from start to finish. Not only the car driving itself, but also cleaning itself with a robot. And that's really how they're going to get to a cost level that I think it's going to be really challenging for others to compete with.
Yeah, let's take a
Why
look at
not?
that robot real quick.
Gav, if I could just really
Yeah,
quickly,
please.
like why build a dedicated robot vacuum instead of just having like Optimus? Just get one of those handhelds or something. What's the advantage there? Do you guys think?
It's a good question. I mean, I think the way I view the whole, I think the robot vacuum, it's such a good question because you would think a human or robot has better access to all the crevices, right? If you're creating a fixed vacuum that's gonna like just have this giant arm doing these like very basic moves, but in reality, if the last 20% of cleaning the crevices, the little things, under your seat or whatever, I mean, they could make robots for that, but if a human can already do that, the human robot makes more sense. I think maybe what they're pointing to is that maybe they're trying to monetize cleaning. Maybe they're going to set up their own cleaning station so that people can send their cybercaps. Like let's say you, me, whoever on this panel, whoever's watching, wants to buy a cybercap to add it to the fleet, and say it gets dirty. Tesla could offer, like, maybe they might have these cleaning stations in each city, 2 or 3 of them, and then instead of you cleaning it yourself, you can send it to the Tesla cleaning station for $10 or whatever, because they know stuff gets dirty. And so now you have a market for cleaning self-driving cars, and Tesla maybe wants to own that entire vertical. I don't know. That's what goes through my mind, because I agree with you. The bot seems better equipped to clean than that arm, if a bot exists.
I mean, the softer task of making a bot clean inside a car like that is very challenging. You're talking about crouching, You're talking about getting into the car. You're talking about manipulating a number of tools. You know, the robot actually has to pick up a vacuum cleaner versus this arm is a vacuum cleaner. My understanding is they're going to make these little stations, and the station's going to have a wireless charging pad underneath and a robot arm vacuum cleaner on the side.
Mm.
So one stop, charge, clean. And you know, maybe that is something that can be done with Optimus longer term, but right now I think it seems much simpler and probably cheaper to just have this sort of refueling station that's also a robotic vacuum and can clean the screen, do everything in just one stop.
Your point.
You guys want to take a quick look at the video for the people that haven't seen it in the audience?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's take a quick
Sure.
screen share here. I like the caption that Tesla put on this one. They said, "This robot sucks."
I would mute it
I clean.
or just turn it down a little.
Oh, there you go. I muted that. If you want to give a little live commentary for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we saw a little preview of this, I think at the We Robot event or a video soon after. But they're actually looks like they've gone a little bit farther with their engineering of it. It's interesting.
Yeah, we can
way the
see it
door opens
picking
up
up
kinda makes more
items that
sense.
were forgotten,
Yeah.
Yeah. And
picking up
it
water
just looks
bottles, a
great,
forgotten
thing.
backpack.
Yeah.
Some people in the comment section were saying this thing is probably easier and cheaper to launch sooner than the Optimus would be for the same task.
Yeah.
So that might be true too.
I want to ask you guys a question here, which I've gotten from people that are a little scared of robots coming mainstream. And this is okay. By people, I mean my fiance. All right. So I'll throw her under the bus here. All right. So she has basically told me, she's like, it'd be amazing if something did the dishes and did this and did that. But she's like, I don't want something that looks like a person walking around my house and it's going to jump scare me all the time. And she's like, make it not look like a person. So I asked you guys, maybe Farzad, why do you think they made Optimus look very personal? And my explanation was, hey, we've evolved over time to get to this point. Like, we clearly are built for a reason. And then at the same time, I think this solves some of the issues, right? This car cleaning robot and a dishwashing robot, they do not have to look like a person. They can just be optimized for the job.
Yeah. I mean, they're making a robot that is designed to do human tasks, and humans, the economy, the physical labor economy is tailored to the human body because we're the ones that are doing it. So think about all the like everything is optimized for a human body. A lawnmower is optimized for a human body. A wrench is optimized for the human hand, right? All these different tasks that we do are human, done by humans. So it makes the most sense to have a human-shaped robot doing those tasks because those things are optimized for a human. I think, it's an interesting one. I get the apprehension and I get like, oh my God, like this thing is scary, but it's like any new technology. I think what's going to end up happening is like with any other technology, when the convenience, the cost, the capability of that product far outweighs the alternative, which is either you do it or you have to pay somebody to do it, that fear will go out the door immediately. It's like kind of like a self-driving car, like a robotaxi, right? Do you want to pay an Uber driver, whatever, 60, 80, 70 bucks to go to the airport? You want to pay a Cybercap 40, 30, 20 bucks to go to the airport. Oh, there's nobody driving in the car. Yeah, but it's safer. Yeah, but I don't trust it. Yeah, but you save like 50, 60% of your fare. Huh, okay, maybe I'll do that, right? Same thing will apply to the human or robot. Would you rather, take a bubble bath or clean your house? And that bot, technically, the amount it would cost for that to clean your house is less of the time you would save doing a bubble bath. The formula, like the analysis for understanding if this technology works or not is going to be so attractive that I think a lot of that hesitation will go away rather quickly. But I get it. I mean, it's a fundamental change to, like, this is so exciting. Tesla's the company that's doing this. They're bringing a brand new type of product to the market that none of us thought was possible even 4 or 5 years ago, right? I think a lot of that hesitation will go away.
So let me throw, go for it. And then I have another quote.
Yeah, I mean, I think, if you get into this sort of framework where we're going to make a purpose-built robot for everything, Okay, now you've made a car cleaning robot. Well, now let's create a dishwashing robot. Let's create a shoe shining robot. That's a lot of different robots, a lot of different engineering work. And it just becomes impractical really quickly, and it becomes costly really quickly. So, what you really want is one robot that you can invest engineering resources in that can do a number of tasks. It can unload your dishwasher, it can clean your car, it can do anything humans can do. And the human body is a good framework for that. Everything is obviously designed for human bodies. Having a robot that's in that form factor allows you to do anything a human can do. And I don't think once people get used to it, it'll be any more scary than a cell phone. So, really, what we're looking at here is a generalizable human robot. And you see all the advancements in AI. We've got this incredible AI in our computers, but it's limited to the digital world. It can't go unload your dishwasher, it can't go pick up your laundry. It's stuck in your computer. We need a body for AGI. And giving it that body, I think, unlocks a $1 trillion market. The robot itself isn't worth much, but the robot plus the AGI, that's really where he is starting to come up with these quotes like next five most valuable companies combined.
The brain.
It is. It is. And Farzad, you've put it so well for people that are looking at this from the outside and they're just seeing the tip of the iceberg, right? There's so much underwater that has been revealed. To wrap up our Optimus section, the quote that I was referring to there was he said, right now, we are focused on Optimus doing the most boring task in our Tesla factories internally, like the stuff that no one wants to do. Optimus is very happy to do the boring jobs. This is, I think, kind of the pitch here, right? There's so many things that we do not want to do. Optimus is happy to do. Our goal is to build a production line that can scale 10,000 to 100,000 units a month. This is a rough guess, but I think we can start delivering robots to other companies by the second half of next year. It'll cost us about $20,000 to make them. Demand will not be a problem, which is always wonderful. You've solved half of the problem right there off the bat. So as much as I know we'd love to talk Tesla forever here, we are going to move into some wrap-up comments for today's show. And this is an amazing turnout. We've already had 36,000 people that have tuned in today. The comments have been nonstop. I love the comments. I see Farzad going back and forth with them in there. Omar, a lot of people are super excited I think a lot of people haven't seen your face before, even though I know you've done video content. You have a couple
How handsome
podcasts.
is he? Look at him.
So handsome.
My goodness. That jawline is to die for.
You're
Look at
so
him. I
hot
love
right
it.
now.
Zoolander. Oh, that Omar's so hot right now. And so it's just amazing experience to be able to do this together with y'all. And there's so much more to come. I want to make clear for everyone, the reason we call this the GigaCast and rather than just a Tesla show or the Tesla podcast is because there's so much more for us to discuss here in this world of tech. And even within Tesla, it kind of exudes outside of the world of Tesla. So with that being said, going to roll into some closing comments here from this amazing panel. And I'm sure you guys are already following all of them, but if you're not, now is as good a time as ever. And if you want to check out our main channel on X, which is of course where a lot of us put out a lot of our content, you can go ahead and follow at the GigaCast. Let's get that to 10K if it's not at 10K already by the end of this episode. Let's move into some closing comments here, starting with yourself, Omar. Oh, you muted.
Nice.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the most exciting year in Tesla's history. They have a number of really exciting new products on the automotive side, but really a decade of hard work has led us to this year and led us to the launch of unsupervised. They're about to release some FSD updates that are just going to be incredible. We've got this new Model Y launched, and everybody who buys it in the US is going to have FSD. And if they haven't tried it before, I think their head is going to explode when they see what FSD it's running in March. I mean, it already is doing every drive with zero interventions. These next few updates, I think, are going to completely shock the world and change the way people see Tesla. So they're really going through a metamorphosis right now from really this kind of niche company that most people don't have much experience with to really an AI product that I think is going to be ubiquitous across the country and across the world. So I'm really excited. This year has already started off crazy, and I think it's only going to get crazier from here.
I love it. Okay, a couple quick things I want to shout out before I go over to the other two. First off, specifically for channels, if you are on YouTube, must follow Farzad and Omar's channels. Farzad provides a variety of commentary across the tech spectrum. He's got amazing people like Tesla Larry on there. He's got the recording of our conversation with Kathy Wood that's put up on there. Huge shout out as well to the man, the myth, the legend, David Carbut, the editor that is going to be as well editing and helping with this show. He is a gem and a great person to check out on X as well. And then on Omar's channel, you can catch so many amazing first-person FSD videos. So if you're wondering, can a car really drive itself without human intervention on camera? Yes, it can. You can go and check that out today, no cost. Both these channels are free. And then, of course, on X, you know where all of our stuff is. Top Tesla news channels coming from Sawyer and Omar. I provide a variety of details, and Farzad is an amazing mix of comedy, humor, tech, insights, and everything else. And if you want to see him go back and forth with Elon while they're live on his earnings calls, you can catch that there too. So some great pieces just across the board. All right, I'm seeing a lot of comments asking for merch. So here's what I'm thinking. Go now and follow at the GigaCast on X and tag us in a tweet. I will go through the replies, and by the end of this month, I will take 3 of the people that are following at the GigaCast and tag us in some type of tweet, shout us out, let us know what your favorite moment was perhaps of this pod, and I'll get 3 people and I will custom make merch for you, and we'll send you GigaCast merch, and we'll go from there. Maybe there'll be more of a shop, but for now, go and check out our pages. That's what I want to start with. Sawyer, coming over to you for closing comments.
Yeah, I've owned one public stock, and this is not financial advice. I don't recommend this, but I've only owned Tesla stock since September of 2018. That's when I went all in. I put all my chips into the table because I really believed in this company. I love the product, and I really believed in Elon's vision. And the cornerstone of that investment thesis was FSD. And here we are 6-7 years later, and we're finally starting to see all these things play out. We've been waiting for years and years of this, and here we are with Elon on an earnings call saying we're 5 months out from Tesla's initial robotaxi services starting. It's just pretty insane. Even if he's a few months wrong on the timeline, fine, whatever. We're close to it nonetheless. And I think that combined with the fact that we're probably going to see quite a few new product launches, or new trim launches at least, this year. And that'll provide growth in and of itself. But just the way this company is set up over the coming years with FSD, AI, Optimus, and of course new product launches, I'm super bullish on it, and we'll continue to hold.
Beautiful. And Farzad.
Yeah, I mean, I think what Omar and Sawyer said, I agree with 100%. I think the framing of the story, if I think about it from a more like a macro view, trying to understand how is the broader market, how is just a regular person viewing the story, a gigantic amount of people still don't understand what is happening, right? They see the DeepSeek news as an example, and even though there's a lot of complexity there and whatever, stuff is changing so rapidly, and Tesla happens to be at the forefront of a lot of those changes, but in a domain that they are the masters in by far, which is physical AI, in vision based AI, and pairing that up with a manufacturing system that will create physical AI products, AI powered robots, right? Both with wheels, with legs, and whatever else they decide. That is the story of the decade, and that's going to be the story of the next decade, really, for this company, and really for the broader story is our transition into a world that's going to have AI powered robots, and that is both incredibly exciting, but it's also going to open up a host of challenges in a Pandora's box as it pertains to, okay, what happens to humans as those tasks are being handled by AI-powered robots that can do it way safer, way more reliably, way more cost-effectively, way more predictably, right? It's a net positive for humanity, but how does humanity take that on. And that's gonna be the discussion for the next 10 to 20 years. The technology part of it is incredible, but the societal impact's even bigger. And I think this is my sneaking suspicion is that a lot of the underlying reasons why Elon wanted to get involved in politics was to try and gain some form of I don't know, an influence in ensuring that our governmental and societal systems are set up to be able to absorb this insane change in whatever way that is. And it's up to us as people and individuals to have those conversations. And we're not having enough of those conversations. So all this stuff is incredible, but the Pandora's box it's going to open is unbelievable. And I personally feel very fortunate to be able to talk about it with people like with you three about this and everybody who's listening to us. So it's an incredible panel, super fun. I can already tell this is going to be a massive hit. And I just want to thank everybody, especially you three, for doing this together. It's freaking awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, this is a dream come true. Couple quick things to the chat. I see all the people in there who are saying we are only on YouTube. You don't use X. I got it. Come back next week and I will do a merch giveaway for YouTube as well. So that's my promise to you. We'll make it happen to everybody on YouTube. That's no problem. Fridays, 1 p.m. Eastern. A couple quick thank yous. Obviously, thank you to Farzad, Omar, and Sawyer for doing this together. On the back end side, thank you to Charles, our operations guy. Thank you to Sam, who's been helping to set up all the accounts, blast out messages, everything along those lines. Thank you to Evan, aka Stock Market News, who is our content lead, who helped me put together content for the show. So many people coming together behind the scenes. And of course, one more big thank you to David on the editing side. This is just the start of something amazing. We're so excited to see where this goes. We had about 40,000 people tune in today for our first show ever. And I am so excited to see it grow. I'll leave you with this. My goal with this show is to help people build conviction one way or the other, right? That's the only way in my eyes to succeed in the long term and build wealth, is to have conviction, whether that's in Tesla, another area of tech, or it's the other way, right? And you decide this isn't for you, one way or the other. I want you to come to this show and take away strong, clear concepts and ideas that allow you to build conviction in your investing style, your lifestyle, and everything from there. So thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.